What's up, everybody? In honor of Goosebumps' 29th anniversary, I'm going to be returning to some of the Goosebumps books and doing reviews for them. So I have a few Goosebumps Most Wanted books in my collection that I have not done reviews for yet. I have not read yet. So I decided to read those few and talk about them a little bit. So yeah, Goosebumps is turning 29 years old, or has turned to 29 years old this summer. The first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House, was published in July of 1992. So it's been around for almost 30 years now. That's kind of crazy to think about. Time just flies by. Makes me feel a little bit old thinking about how Goosebumps has been around that long. But yeah, anyway, I have Most Wanted book number 4 here, Frankenstein's Dog. So this was my first time reading this one. And first off, the cover. As you guys can see, that's a pretty cool cover art. I really like this one. I think this might be my favorite cover art of all of the Most Wanted books. Unfortunately, it's kind of a lie. The cover and the title are both a bit misleading. There's no zombie dog in this story, and the title Frankenstein's Dog just doesn't really make sense. That's not what the book is about. So yeah, cool cover, but a little bit misleading. There is a dog in here, but he's just a normal dog. He's not all zombie looking like he is on the picture. But anyway, this one is about our protagonist, Kat, who goes to visit her uncle in some isolated, faraway village that her uncle is like this mad scientist, basically. And when she arrives to this village, she's greeted with a lot of hostility from the townsfolk because she's related to her uncle and nobody likes him. They all think he's like some crazy mad scientist that's up to no good, which he kind of is, but so this book right away reminds me a lot of Jekyll and Hyde from Series 2000. It starts off in a very similar way. It feels a lot like that, although not as dark. It's a lot more lighthearted. Jekyll and Hyde was a very dark and grim Goosebumps book. But yeah, it starts out a little bit similar to that one. And as she stays with her uncle for a couple days and she's just visiting with them and everything, she learns that he's building these robots down in his basement in his laboratory room. And he's created like this artificial intelligence, these extremely smart robots that appear just like humans. They have the outer skin and face and everything, and they look just like real people. And he's created one that even looks like himself. So there's kind of this mystery a little bit of why he's doing this exactly. Her uncle is a nice guy, but he's definitely a little bit strange. And Kat kind of wants to figure out what's going on and why her uncle is giving her these odd demands, like she has to stay in her room at night. She's not allowed to come out. She's not allowed to go in the basement when he's not in there. And there's a certain locked door in the basement with strange shouts and voices coming from the other side and something banging on the door. And obviously she wants to know what's in there, but her uncle is very mysterious and keeping all of this stuff like a secret to her. So that's the story for this one. I won't get into it any more than that and spoil the plot, but so yeah, my thoughts on this one. I wasn't a very big fan of this book, to be honest. This Goosebumps book, along with a couple of the other Most Wanted books that I've noticed, tend to retread old ideas a little bit too closely. The last Most Wanted book that I read, How I Met My Monster, I believe that was like the 3rd or 4th book in the Most Wanted series. I can't remember, but the last one I read also directly borrowed from some older Goosebumps books, using plot points and twists like very directly. And this one does the same thing, and it makes it feel a little bit stale. This book to me is a crossover between Stay Out of the Basement from the original Goosebumps series and I Am Your Evil Twin from Series 2000. This book literally just steals plot devices and elements from those two books and just mashes them up in here. And that's what this book feels like, is just a direct crossover of those two. So I predicted pretty much every little plot twist that happened in this book. None of it really felt new or fresh to me. It just felt a little bit stale, and that was probably one of my biggest issues with this book, was just it's something that's been done before. It's a little bit different. It's kind of reskinned and has some new elements to it, but yeah, it's just another retreading of ideas for me. I did have some fun with it, though. I didn't think it was terrible. Again, I think this is one of those Goosebumps books where if someone were to read a Goosebumps book for their first time, they would really enjoy this. It's not a bad book. I had some fun with it. There were some funny moments in here too. And yeah, I don't know. It wasn't bad. It's too familiar for me. That's the main issue I have with it. And also the whole robot thing and artificial intelligence. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of stuff. That's not the most compelling plot to me. I've never really been into science fiction a ton. And yeah, I don't know. The whole robot thing is just not something that appeals to me a lot. So that's another downside for me with this book. But overall, like I said, it's not horrible. It's just not one I really cared for all that much. It falls probably somewhere in the middle for me out of the Goosebumps Most Wanted books that I've read so far. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this one. It's a decent little book. One thing I will say is no matter how much bad things I will say about a Goosebumps book, or if I just say it's kind of meh or below average, I still have fun with them. I never regret reading these books. Even the Goosebumps books that aren't as good, I still enjoy reading them just because it's Goosebumps. I can still have fun with just about any of them. These are just so nostalgic for me, and yeah, R.L. Stine is obviously my favorite author, so. But this one is definitely not one I would recommend except for to the big Goosebumps fans like myself that want to read everything. I would probably give this one 2 out of 5 stars. I'm kind of like bouncing between a 2 and a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm thinking like maybe 2.5. I don't know. We'll go with 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm feeling a little bit generous. But yeah, this is definitely better than Planet of the Lawn Gnomes. I will say that. That's my least favorite Most Wanted book I've read so far. And that was the only one I've read out of the Most Wanted series that I did not like at all. That one was terrible. But it's definitely not as good as some of the other ones in the series. So, as I've talked about before, I'm not the biggest fan of the newer Goosebumps books. To me, Goosebumps was in its prime back in the 90s and early 2000s, or I guess not really early 2000s, like the mid to late 90s in the classic era of the original series and Series 2000. I do really enjoy some of the new Goosebumps books, but for the most part, they just are not the same as they used to be. But like I said, I still enjoy reading them. I still have a good time with them, even though they're basically just all repeated stories of the older books, just slightly modernized and updated with slightly new plots and little things here and there, new elements added to the stories. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about this book. It was just okay. I had fun with it, but it's not one that I really enjoyed all that much. So yeah, that's my review for Frankenstein's Dog. Like I said, I'm doing this, returning to Goosebumps and reading the rest of the Most Wanted books that I have in my collection, just in honor of like the Goosebumps anniversary, and I was kind of in the mood to get back to reading some of these, so I have a couple more books, I think 2 or 3, so I'll probably read those this month, or try to, and put out reviews for those ones, so keep on the lookout for those. If you guys have read this book, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite Most Wanted book is in the Goosebumps Most Wanted series if you have one. But yeah, guys, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.